Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Wellness Files. This is episode 2. I'm Amy from the PWR Network, and I'm here with my co host, Jen from Crafted Evidence Podcast. Today, we're talking about something really close to our hearts: how podcasting can be a powerful tool for healing trauma. Whether you're a veteran living with PTSD or someone carrying invisible wounds of your own, this episode is about finding voice, connection, and purpose through sharing your story. We're honored to be joined with us, Amber, from a host from Into the Weeds podcast and contributor to Military Broadcasting Radio. Amber is a veteran, a trauma survivor, and a passionate advocate for using podcasting as a way to cope, to process, and to help others feel seen and heard. This conversation is full of wisdom, tools, and real talk because healing doesn't have to be quiet and you don't have to go it alone. So let's get into it. We're going to roll some credits while we wait for the rest of the wellness crew to pop in. Special shout out to our replay crew. We love you.
Cavalier's drumming his old guitar again. Words rolling out into our fire. If heaven had wings, I would steal them and fly away with you for a while. Hearing the essence of gratitude, your dreamy little smile on my lips. I miss my cue, but baby, I had you. Miss my cue, but I had you for that day.
Here in the essence of gratitude, I get to be back here on another Wellness Files. And it's Friday. It's my most favorite day of the week. What's your most favorite day of the week? Tell me. Mine has always been Friday. And so I'm always happy when we do a Wellness Files on a Friday because I think that's when we've landed on Fridays. But I think it's a great day to talk about health and wellness. And with me on this journey, I have Jen from Crafted Evidence. Hi, Jen.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to kick off the weekend because the week can be stressful, and this is a good time to decompress as we go into the weekend.
Mm-hmm. And I always say, too, that podcasting and doing this YouTube channel has really healed a lot. Well, I mean, I still have the trauma and stuff, but it helps me deal with the trauma and it's helping in the healing. And then I started thinking about Amber from Into the Weeds podcast. And I know she does all this work with Military Broadcasting Radio. And it's this free service. Yes, free service to vets. And they help you get a YouTube channel all situated and going. And I just think it's like an amazing service. And so I really wanted to have her on to talk about it.
I love that. I love finding people who are doing great things out there. I love it.
Me too. So she's here with us. So let's go ahead and welcome her on. But before we do, let's just do that algorithm dance party. Let's just get that out of the way. Just warm your fingers up and dance them right up to the hearts and thumbs up button. Yep. We're coming to you today on actually 3 YouTube channels. We've got my second channel that I like to do. It's Feel Good University. So anytime I put anything good out there that I think feels good, I throw it over to that channel because I just want good stuff over on that channel. We've got Jen's Crafted Evidence. We've got mine, the PWR Network, and we're also over on Facebook. So however you're seeing us today, whichever platform, if you could just give us that love, it's a free way to help us out, and it's really, really appreciated. So now let's bring Amber up. Hi, Amber.
Hi.
Hey.
Welcome. So good to have you.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's good to see your face too, because I've seen you through chats, and it's like then you start meeting these people in the community, and then you connect, and it's so cool to meet you in person.
Yes,
well,
very.
virtually in person.
Yes.
She does a lot over on her channel on Into the Weeds. She does a lot of like the same stuff that we do the same stuff basically, because you do paranormal and you also do true crime, and then you do a lot of women's topics and issues and missing indigenous, the murdered and missing indigenous women's epidemic. So yeah.
Yeah,
well, I fell in love with Amber when she told me that she requested the police reports for the Gypsy Rose case, because I'm like, okay, I love you. I love people who actually file requests and do their research. So I was really looking forward to working with you.
well,
I fell in love with her when I found out that she went down to a fancy on the case in regards to the Gypsy Rose, and they stood firm in what they said they saw. They're like, we said what we said, and they didn't, like, because there were people trying to get them to like backtrack, and they're like, no, we said what we said. And that's when I fell in love with them.
Yeah.
Thank you. That whole mess happened a year ago yesterday. So
wow, it's the anniversary. I love
that. Wow. I can't believe it's been a year.
Yeah, it's been a year. So it's been a wild year, I'll tell you that, because I really honestly only wanted to cover Gypsy a couple of times and basically just interview people who had interacted with her or were talking about her. I didn't actually want to talk about her much myself. And so when I kind of fell into that whole thing with Fancy and Sarah and Chillicothe, that kind of spurred me on to actually look more at the case and then start requesting evidence, because I knew Fancy wasn't going to give it to me.
Right.
So I was just like, you know what? I'm a history nerd. So I just want to know what really happened. And I also wanted to pass it off to this guy, Ken Maines from the YouTube channel Unsolved No More. He's a cold case detective.
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, and he had broke down a case from my hometown that I had asked him to do. And so I was just like, well, let me get all this information for historical purposes, and then I'll just forward it all to him. And when he has time, he can look at it and, maybe one day discuss it. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's really cool how we've all kind of met through the true crime community. And Amy and I have talked about this a lot. I mean, there's a lot that goes with it too. There's a lot of days where we're like drained or just sucks the energy out of you. So it's nice to find, ways we can heal and feel good and do feel good stuff too.
Yeah, and the reason I do that is because of Military Broadcast Radio. So I'm very thankful for them.
Can you give us your background on what you did for military service?
Yeah, so I was only in a year. I fell and broke my back right around the 7th week of basic training. So I got put in a med hold situation. And I was there from, it would have been April to November in the med hold situation. And so while I was in the med hold situation at first, I got there and it was like a really bad situation. Everybody had to either sit or stand in formation all day. You couldn't read, you couldn't do anything. It was just a really messed up situation. And then eventually I got to where I got a job there. And so I in-processed and out-processed all the soldiers. I did all the urinalysis. I made sure that everybody had beds. I just kept track of the whole unit, making sure that everything was running efficiently.
Sounds like you're the mama of the unit, like the lady in charge.
Basically. Basically. So, and I met my husband there, and he went on to, go back into the service, and he was in National Guard. And when I got out, we got together and moved to Arkansas and got married, and I went into children's ministry. And I've been in children's ministry and youth ministry at our church for 24 years, basically. My daughter's almost 25. So that's what I had been doing with my life up until last year when I started this podcast. But I did when I got hurt in the military, it caused a lot of problems. I have chronic pain syndrome, fibromyalgia, PTSD, all kinds of awesome health issues. So
You're speaking to the choir.
yeah. So, and I suffered from severe debilitating migraines, and I actually spent 6.5 years in bed with migraines. It was about 26 days out of the month I was bed bound, not able to keep anything down, just a very sick individual. And I had 2 heart surgeries in that 6.5 years, and a hysterectomy. And so it was just wild for me. So when we moved to Missouri, I started getting out of the funk of the whole situation I was in Florida. And I just happened to pay attention to the veterans newsletter that goes out every month. And I've been a veteran for now 26 years. It was the very first time I ever paid attention to that newsletter. And it asked if anybody wanted to learn how to podcast. And so I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And my husband sent it to me right away, and my sister-in-law sent it to me right away. So I sent out an email right away, and I've been there since February of last year. And yeah, so I'm finding my way, but I'm also, because Military Broadcast Radio is such a small organization, it's a 501c3 nonprofit. I decided I would pay it forward and start helping other veterans. So every Tuesday and Thursday now I go in there with the president, and we just meet veterans, tell them our program, and if they want to proceed, we help them set up a whole podcast from intro, logo, outro. I mean, it's all whatever they put into it. So, if it's mediocre, it's because, they haven't put a whole lot of work into it. But, it's all about what they're willing to do. But it's all for therapy. It's free. For the first year, we don't charge anything. After a year, we ask that you just pay $100 for the StreamYard fee. So, and that's completely reasonable.
Yeah.
Right, because StreamYard's expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what we do.
Oh, thank you, Moira. That was really sweet of you. So when you got involved, did they help you put your channel together, or how did that work?
So because I came in at a time where they had literally thousands and thousands of emails and people flooding them with responses to learn how to podcast, there wasn't a whole lot of help for me. So my husband and my son helped me in the beginning. And then, as I started getting more comfortable, I decided, well, if I didn't know what I was doing, then I need to, make sure that the other people who are coming in here know what they're doing. And so then Joel and I, created this way in which we just go in there twice a week and teach them whatever they want to learn.
Yeah, there's so much to learn.
Yeah,
I couldn't find where that I know this can't be the right channel that you guys are doing. I couldn't find it.
MB radio. Put in MB radio.
Is it on your MB radio?
Yeah, MB radio. We had some issues with our Facebook and our YouTube channel. I think we got a strike or something like that, and so we revamped everything. And so this is what it used to look like, and the new one is MB radio. Yeah.
This one?
Yep, the duck.
Okay.
That's our mascot.
Welcome to Military Broadcast Radio. We're
right. Because I couldn't find it. And like,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
What did you say?
They offered that to you as well. I always hear these horror stories about people leave the service and then they're kind of left abandoned. And I'd love to hear that, you got a newsletter, even if it was like, hey, we're knitting. If you want to learn how to knit, you know what I mean? It's like, then you can come together as a community and you have this past in common, but yet you're moving forward with a different project.
Yeah, I was shocked to realize that there's this whole community out there of veterans, charities, and foundations until I got with MBR. I had no idea. For 25 years, I had just been left out in the wind, not knowing about any of these resources, struggling to get my disability because when I was released from the military, I got a 10% disability rating with a broken back in 3 places and a messed up neck. And so for 26 years, I just finally, within the last couple of months, got 100% disability from the VA. But it took that long, and they really kind of keep you frustrated so you don't keep going.
Yeah. I worked in local media here in Atlanta, and the VA hospital here is huge. And I'm telling you, just some of the horror stories I've heard from people being able to simply get medical care for chronic conditions, like some of the things Amy and I have, the MS, the fibromyalgia. Those are specialists that you need. And there's always a waiting list. And it always would anger me when people would call and say, I'm waiting to get into a specialist. Because they couldn't really just go to a regular hospital because they were covered under the VA. And it hurt my heart to know that that's the way we are treating people who have served our country and put their life on the line.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better now.
Good.
We intentionally moved to Florida from Arkansas because of the VA system in Florida. And it was really good in the beginning there. But then you had a huge influx of soldiers coming back. And then the care kind of got a little iffy. And they started just basically sending you from one specialist to the next, never giving you a diagnosis or never really trying to help you, just saying that it wasn't their area. And they didn't know what to do for you. And I've heard many, many people say this before. So it wasn't just me, but I remember going to appointment after appointment and the doctors just looking at me and being like, why did they send you here?
Oh,
and I'm like,
why are you here with me?
I don't know. I was just sent here and
right.
I have looked like an idiot so many times in front of doctors because I'm just like, I don't know. They sent me here. I'm here. Tell me why I'm here.
That's a whole other thing, getting the PTSD from the whole medical system, the trauma that a lot of people, chronically sick people. But the post-traumatic stress here, you can tell in the Vietnam War, it was at 30%. The Gulf War, it went down to 10%, went up to 20% for the Operation Iraq. And then the war in Afghanistan, 11%. And some of the things, how did you know that you had some post-traumatic stress, and has this helped heal your trauma doing the podcasting?
Yeah, so the first time I realized that something was different about me was when I got out of the Army and I was driving. I was I was sitting at a stoplight in my car, and all of a sudden, everything around me just started moving. And I started freaking out because I thought that the car was moving. And so I just kept like pushing my foot down on the brake. And I knew that I had my foot on the brake, but everything around me was telling me that I didn't. And so I was like super confused. So I pulled over and I was just like having a severe panic attack. But at that time, I didn't know what it was because I had never really experienced anything like that except for when I was very young. And so, yeah, it just kind of freaked me out. And so I told my husband, I was like, well, at that time, he wasn't my husband, but he was my boyfriend. And I was like, something is wrong with me. And from there, it just kept happening more and more and more. And then when I would go on like escalators or high places, or it was really bad, I went to an IMAX theater in St. Louis when Alora was a little baby, and I had her in my arms. I was walking up the stairs, and we went in to go sit in the stadium seating, and all of a sudden, everything within me said, "You're going to jump. Not you're gonna fall, you're gonna jump." And it's like, where did that come from? That's so weird. And so I had to pass Alora off to my husband, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm like literally freaking out thinking I'm going to jump or I'm gonna make myself jump even though I know I don't want to jump. And yeah, so it would just that kind of stuff would happen when I would go um anywhere. So I quit going to stadium seating events. I didn't I love football, but I couldn't go to any of the football games because they were stadium seating, and, I couldn't pay for, ground level seats. So, so I just started avoiding things, and I would tell my doctors that this was going on, but they never did anything about it. And, yeah, so for years and years, I just kept dealing with it and kept dealing with it, and within the last 2.5 years, I've gotten into therapy and realized, that it really is PTSD because I wasn't for sure at first. I was like, what is this?
Right.
And come to find out, because of my traumatic past as well, I basically have complex PTSD, and it's just kind of all rolled into one. And I'm a huge mess sometimes, but yeah.
We are talking about heavy subjects today, guys. So I do have up here a prevention for vets with PTSD. There's a number to call in the U.S., the U.K., Australia, and you can visit an ISP to find a helpline. And I will put the link down in the YouTube show notes for you. So I'm sorry. I just wanted to be sure people
No, it's
saw
good,
that.
Amy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that you had different countries too. It's not just,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, US military. I think the term, I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like the term PTSD gets thrown around a lot, and then it diminishes the true value or the true essence of what it really is, and that people really do have it. But then people will use it in a term of joking. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have PTSD when it's really not that severe. Like, when I think of PTSD, I feel like those physical symptoms. You're having those panic attacks. You're going back into that situation where you felt the way you felt when the trauma was happening, versus someone just feeling uncomfortable about a situation.
Yeah, I get to the point. So my father died from suicide. He was a veteran, and he actually called the suicide line, and they created an appointment for him, but that was it. They didn't tell him to go into the ER or anything.
I'm so
So
sorry.
yeah, so he committed suicide in our home, and my child found him. And so I remember one day I was sitting in class because I was going to school full time and I was homeschooling my kids and doing all kinds of stuff. And so I was sitting in it just happened to be my psychology class. And the teacher was talking about a tornado that had happened on the campus years and years before. But when she started talking about the devastation and the stuff that they saw, I immediately my whole world just started spinning. And like I couldn't tell if I was actually like sitting down or it was so weird. It was like everything within me just got completely messed up. And she looked at me and she knew something was going on. And she's like, Amber, go outside, and she
Yeah.
picked up on it, and yeah, that was one of the scariest feelings I ever had because it was just so overwhelming that I honestly didn't know if I was going forwards or backwards, standing or sitting. It was very scary.
I think that's one of the true signs of whether if what you're experiencing is true trauma or just something upsetting. It's when it affects you in a way that you normally wouldn't react and you don't know why you're reacting that way. And it goes to when people say, like, I notice in true crime cases, they're like, well, why would somebody act like that? Nobody would act like that. And like, you're like, you don't know how you would react in the face of trauma until you really face it. Then you unpack all your trauma that you got with you, and your trauma is going to interact with the trauma that's happening. And it can make you do wild, weird stuff.
And depending on how much trauma you've had, like I've had trauma after trauma, like my whole life. And so I've kind of just been able to roll with things. So if I were presented with something very scary or a weird situation, I may react completely differently than a normal person because they'll probably just laugh at you or be like, really? Because I honestly have been through so much. It's like, oh, really? That's just one more thing,
Yeah. No, I get exactly what you're saying, Amber. Like sometimes I'm scared to even share my health journey because it sounds fake. Like it is so
Like,
much,
that
I'm scared people are gonna be like, you're full of shit. And I'm like, no, this really happened.
Yeah.
Like here's the medical documents.
Yes.
No, honestly, my life has been such a weird ride that honestly a lot of people don't know how to take me because if they really know what I've gone through or just even ask me a few questions, they're like, is this real? Am I being punked?
Yeah.
So
well, I think that's a Gen X thing too. We make fun of our trauma because we were kind of told not to do anything but laugh, like couldn't really show any emotion, and even laughter wasn't sometimes okay, but we've learned to, make fun of our trauma.
yeah, I mean, the first traumatic event that I can really remember where like the feeling of PTSD I was 7 years old and I was out in my grandma's backyard and we were celebrating her birthday. And my aunt started talking about this friend of ours that got arrested. And he was a college student. He was only like 21, somewhere around there. And I was 7. And I asked them, I said, well, why did he get arrested? And they said, well, he got arrested because they think he killed this little girl. And I said, well, why do they think he did that? And they said, well, because her footprints were on his windshield. And I remember, I can feel it now. I remember shaking so hard because I knew that those footprints were mine because I used to play hide and go seek in his car and on his car. And so I thought I was going to prison with him
Oh, wow.
for murder. And
Oh.
turns out he didn't do the crime. He was the one who found her. And so they thought that, he had committed the crime.
Right.
So at 7 years old, I just remember having that feeling. And since then, just incident after incident of weird things, happen to me. And so I'm
But
just,
nobody thought to stop and like maybe not say that around a 7-year-old, or maybe explain to, like, back then we were in adult conversations
we
that
were.
in watching adult. My grandma used to take me to adult movies, like not like
Yeah.
but rated R movies. I
No, I
saw
know what you mean. Yeah.
the
Like I
Force
watched Married with Children. I watched Melrose Place, 90210, like in 5th grade. I mean, I love you, Mom. I love those shows, but definitely my kids are not watching that kind of stuff.
I loved Howard the Duck when I was a kid. Howard the Duck was my favorite movie.
and it was all like adult and innuendos and
Yes,
everything
it
that they
was,
put
yeah.
for us. I was watching the Pee-wee's Playhouse
Oh, yeah.
movie as himself, and he was like he said, yes, I was putting adult stuff in children's things, and if the kids were smart enough to know, then it was time for the parents to have those adult conversations with them, and then if they weren't, then shroom, and that's
Yeah.
how it was.
Yeah,
Well,
that
we
guy
were
got a
also
better
talking
out.
Children's
about
television. That was children's television.
Yeah.
like
And I
now
love
that I'm a millennial, and I feel like Amy and I were talking. We were playing a clip of Jim Carrey in 1997, and I was like, how the hell did people get so sensitive? And I blame my generation. It's because my generation now is having kids, and but I don't know where we got to be so soft, if that makes sense. Like,
I think it's because we tried to overprotect our children and made things more sensational than they should have been. And maybe we should have just ignored some things and the kids wouldn't have caught on or whatever.
oh, I gotta
I
go to
just,
my battery. Hold on.
yeah, I just see that parents, like, for instance, myself, I tried to safeguard my kids against all the things I experienced. And in turn, I made them, not as self-sufficient as I would like for them to be. I'm not saying they're lazy or can't take care of themselves. I'm just saying, I was at 8 years old further along than my children were, at like 15.
Yeah,
You
it's crazy.
Yes.
I've noticed, like, for us,
Like, you
driving was
mean, like,
everything. We
independent.
were really into getting our driver's license at 16, and I've noticed that
Yeah.
that's just not a big thing anymore. And it was like freedom,
No.
freedom. And it's just a big
They're
difference.
scared to drive now. They are really
Yeah.
scared to drive. And I'm like, what made you so scared to drive? Like, that's where you got your independence to go do what you're going to go do. And it was not good stuff. But where did, I don't know, maybe is it the parents instilling fear in them, or is it really them who, because Amy,
Maybe
my
both.
niece and nephew were the same. They did not want to get their driver's license. And I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Maybe it's a little bit of both, because the world is a lot scarier. The world is pretty terrifying. Although it was pretty terrifying back when we were there, but we didn't know. Like, people weren't aware of how, like, truly degenerate people were. And so they were, because of the internet, they were not having the internet, they were able to operate undercover. And now we all kind of know. Well, we should know. If you don't know, there's a lot of crazy out there. And so it is scary. It is a lot scarier.
The world's bigger now than it was when we were kids. When we were kids, it was our block, our school, our county, our town, or our town, our county, our state. We didn't really think much outside of our realm of experience.
Yeah.
So, so nowadays kids have information from all over the world, all over the country, and so it just kind of perpetuates all of the bad things that were happening back then and are happening now, to a point that they're extremely aware of what's going on, where when we were kids, we were oblivious. We were just kids out having fun and running the streets until the street lights came on.
Yep.
So
yeah, that you make a good point. Like if I didn't know about all the bad stuff that happens, I probably wouldn't be so scared to have the kids, go down the street on the scooter. But now I'm like, don't go where I can't see you. And that was not how it was back in the day.
because now we know what can happen. Back
Yes.
then, we may have knew it could happen, but we didn't really hear about it happening except for sensationally on the news every once in a while. Now
Right.
it's every day we hear about somebody going
like on our
missing.
phones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, and now they can use the internet as an additional tool. So
Yes.
they can be right in your house, whereas
Mhm.
before they weren't sitting in your house.
mhm.
So getting back to healing with the trauma, if people want to become part of this program, how do they do that?
Yeah, so you can go to mbradio.us. That is our website. And you can go to contact us, and that will send a message straight to Joel and to myself. And tell us if you want to learn. Okay, so we teach podcasting, we teach gaming. I don't do that because I don't know anything about gaming. We teach DJing, and then we've also started doing animation.
Ooh.
So Joel, our the president of MBR, he's a really great guy. He has a severe TBI from his service, and so when he came back, he did skiing in the Paralympics, and then he found broadcasting. He went to Colorado Media School, got his degree, and then hooked up with a guy who has
I just love MBR.
Sorry.
who has been no, you're fine. Who actually started MBR in 2005. Joel came in 2015, and then in 2018 he took over, and just wanted it to be a place where veterans could get their voices heard, get out of their heads. Some of us just need to just talk about what's on our minds. And it's a much easier and more therapeutic way to do it online than to yell at your family members or do whatever. So our veterans, yeah, they can come on and they can learn all kinds of stuff, and we'll teach them whatever they want to learn how to do. We even had a woman come in the other day that wants to do voiceovers. So she's going to help us do some of our voiceovers, and we're going to help her build her portfolio and stuff like that so she can go and do voice acting.
Let's take
I
a quick
love
peek
that.
at this ad that they have for the military broadcast radio.
I just love MBR, and I love what they stand for, and trying to give veterans a voice, and that's what it's all about. Give them a voice on the radio and let them have their say, and so I love partnering with them. MBR does so many great things, and it's such a great privilege for me to be able to work with MBR and be a part of that, and once again, just giving back to our veterans who have sacrificed so much for us, and giving them an outlet and a voice, and it goes a long way, and so for me it's awesome to just be a small part of it. It's such a great organization, and very thankful to be a part of that and giving back to our veterans.
Amber,
I just love MBR.
I heard you say something about how the podcasting had helped you with healing your trauma. Could you explain a little bit what it's done to heal some of your trauma? What I know you had said that you had constant thoughts about wanting to harm yourself. Has it eased those symptoms for you?
So I never really had thoughts about harming myself as in suicide thoughts, but I would just have thoughts of you're going to jump, or things like that. So it wasn't like a suicidal thought. So I don't really struggle with that, but I will struggle with, thinking that I'm going to throw myself off of a cliff or whatever. But what it has done is, like I told you guys, I was in bed for 6.5 years. And so when you're in bed for that long, you lose your ability to think, especially with migraines. And mine weren't just small migraines. I mean, I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink, I could barely walk to go to the bathroom. I mean, they were severe and debilitating. So I got to the point where I just couldn't form thoughts anymore. I couldn't remember anything that anybody told me, like at all. I would have a serious conversation with somebody, and then they would come around and talk to me about it like a day or two later, and I would completely have forgotten the conversation. Like it was a brand new conversation to me, and they're looking at me like, "What the heck is going on with you?" So,
Amy does that to me a lot.
yeah. So,
She's
and it
like,
still does.
we just talked about this.
Yeah, I know. I said to her the other day, I don't know how many other ways to tell you this, so I'm out of this conversation. I'm done.
I have horrible brain fog. Horrible. And it's because of the MS. It is.
Yeah. So I was
God
on.
bless her for putting up with me.
So it was like I told her I mean, I'm pretty good because I forget stuff too, but I mean it was like the fifth time, and I'm someone who has a hard time repeating myself. I hate having to repeat myself. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
migraines will do that to you, don't you think? They'll make you forget conversations. They just
Oh,
will
yeah.
do something.
Yeah, I completely like just checked out basically. And so what happened was is while I was suffering from that, my daughter had sent me a Stephanie Harlow video on her historical series about Joseph Mengele. And so she knew I loved history, and so I was like, "Oh, okay, well I can listen to this." And so I popped that in and listened to it, and she just happened to do true crime, and I hadn't really been in true crime at all. I hadn't really watched it, and I was living in Florida, and so I was like, "Okay." So I started watching it, and I was like, "Holy cow." I'm thinking, "Good thing I didn't watch this when my kids were actually really little. Otherwise, I would have really freaked out." But, yeah, so I started, consuming true crime content through that, and I started consuming Meghan Markle content and, because I'm a history nerd. And so I wanted to know what was actually going on in that situation and make my own opinion. And so, yeah, I started doing that. And even though I couldn't remember everything I was learning, I was still learning something. And then I would also pop in my audiobooks and listen to all kinds of stuff. And so, yeah, I got to a point where I was able to get out of bed, and, when I found this, I started doing it, and it started making me think. It started making me research. It started making me form opinions that I had to make concrete, um, because a lot of times you can have opinions or ideas, but you don't really know what you think about those opinions or ideas until you actually have to form a sentence, and write it down. And so, I'm I'm getting back to all that because I used to love writing papers in school and doing schoolwork. I would be a perpetual student if I could. And, so yeah, this is getting me back into learning again and thinking again and speaking again because I was very afraid of speaking for a long time. I thought that I would trip over my words and wouldn't be able to get anything out of my mouth because that's how my head was going too. And, so this is just giving me more confidence, giving me my confidence back because, I was working with children and youth and doing all kinds of things in front of people on a regular basis. And, so now I'm doing it again, and that's how it's helped me. And now going in and helping other veterans, experience it has just been a blessing because, you get to see where they were in the beginning and where they're at now, and some of the veterans have just really done incredible work. There's there's this one guy. Okay. His name is Terry, and he has a podcast called Trucker Mouth. And I absolutely love Trucker Mouth. He is a handful, a legit handful. And we actually told him to sit on his hands at first when we first started meeting with him, because he couldn't do anything without, grabbing stuff and messing with stuff, and he was just all over the place. And now he's been doing his podcast for 2 months, maybe 3 months now, and he's doing a really, really good job, and I'm just so proud of him. So to see him go from a hot mess to somebody who is actually doing the research and putting in the work, I'm really proud of him. So it's rewarding.
Well, I love your channel because you go for the interviews that you want. Like you did Nina, she's pretty big in the Gypsy Rose space, and you got an interview with her almost immediately. I think you've done Becca Scoops. So I just really admire that you just go for the people you want to interview, and you're like, I want to interview you. Do you want to be on my channel?
I actually have reached out to a lot of people, and I do want to say, Hakab, thank you for watching. Love you. So I have reached out to a lot of people that are just so diverse. Like I reached out to Busy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony, and I've had conversations with him, and he said he wants to come on. I've reached out to Max Licato. He's a preacher, to Dave Politis. He does Missing 411. All kinds of people I've reached out to. So it has given me that confidence to also be like, yeah, if I want that interview, I have to work for it, and I have to reach out, and I have to do what it takes. And so, yeah, I'm doing it.
Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of people have a misconception about podcasting and having YouTube. Like, I came from the mainstream media, but there's nothing they give you to secure your interviews. There's no card, there's no magic anything. There may be an email address, that you get to use, but there's no credentials necessarily. It's all about you as a person reaching out to anyone you want to say, I want to tell your story. So anyone can do it. You don't, because someone said to me, like, well, I don't have the credentials. I'm like, there's no such thing. Like, you don't get a card that says I'm a journalist. It's you reaching out and digging and finding the person you want to talk to and saying, hey, I want to share your story. And any of us can do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I've actually even applied for White House press credentials. So it takes 9 months to get it. And so he's only been in 5 or 6 months, something like that. So I'm not a political person, but I just thought we got the opportunity at Military Broadcast Radio to do it. And I was like, heck, I'll do it. I'll apply
There's
for
some
it.
interesting stuff happening right now. I'm like, where's the pop?
Yeah. Right. There's like
You said what?
Is over. But yeah,
I'm
I'll tell you one thing
touching
with the White House press pass, we got temp ones, but they do background check on you. Like every person who gets a credential, they do a background check on you, and then you have to like leave your purse, which is so uncomfortable. Like no one wants to leave their wallet, right? But it's the government and you have to. So you have to like put your purse and all that, and then the dogs sniff. I mean, it's a damn circus. But what you're getting will be, like kind of something you can use for the future and have it. And I say go for it. I think that's awesome.
Would you be able to use that when you like in trials? Would you be able to take that into trials?
I'm not really sure.
If you could, we might need to go to some trials.
No, because it would clear her to go to like the White House and cover a story at the White House. And like,
send the
here's
White
an
House.
example. I've covered Obama 3 times. And what it is he came to Florida and he came here, and my news station had to give them my information. Here are the 3 people going, and they're very strict. These are the people. Like, let's say I woke up sick, you're screwed. You can't send someone in my spot, because they do a pre-background check on you first. Then you go, you leave your crap there, the dogs sniff it, blah, blah, blah. And it is a 1-day pass. So that credential that I was given is only good for that 1 day, that one event. The one you're talking about, Amber, I think is so that you could go anytime you want and cover a story going on at the White House.
Correct. Or like at a rally or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we all, well, the adventurous ones at MBR all applied for it. So we'll see what happens. You know, like I said, I don't do politics really or anything except for when it comes to prison reform and things like that. But because politics is wild, and it's even more wild than the true crime. So I used to actually follow all that stuff, and I just got so fed up. I was like, my kids want to talk to me about politics. So I'm like, I don't even want to hear about it.
Yeah.
It's
But
just
Amy,
drama
you
on
bring
both
up
sides.
an interesting point. Like right now, I looked at my phone yesterday. I don't even want to go down the rabbit hole, but like I saw Elon text about Trump being in the Epstein files, and I'm
Yes,
like,
I was like,
I had to double take, because I'm like, no way. Like, is this a prank? Is this a joke?
I know.
And like, but
no,
that's the
I'm
kind
like,
of
it's
stuff
getting
that's happening.
good. It's getting good.
And
Now,
I
what is
think-
Trump gonna do? Because Trump is not one to be messed with. Like, he's messing with Elon is messing with, I would say, arguably, he is the most good or bad, Trump is the most powerful man in the world. I would say he is the most powerful man in the world. And what is he doing? I'm like, what's gonna happen?
Getting in bed with him in the first place. And you guys, when I say getting in bed, that dude was at their house like every day for months. He was at Thanksgiving, he's at Christmas. It's like, y'all are getting way too close, and now look what happens.
I can't wait. I'm like
a mile away.
I've decided that if it's gonna happen and it's happening, there's nothing we can do. I think it's funny. I've turned it into like, it's very like, woo, because if not, I'm gonna be sitting crying, you know? So it's very interesting. What's gonna happen?
I'm a little scared too, to be honest.
Well, I'm scared too, but I'm not gonna like, what can we do? We're just the little
Right,
minions in this.
Like run to the country and hide in a bunker. Like that's about it.
Yeah.
Oh, Hakab says her family's fighting over Trump and Elon. This one loves Elon, the other loves Trump.
So now
that's our world, isn't it? The families are fighting because one likes Elon.
Mommy and Daddy are fighting, and who do you want to live with?
I don't like any of them, so
I don't either.
But
I think that's why I can laugh at them.
Yeah.
But they're both very powerful, like you said, Amy, and it's scary, the influence that Elon has and the money.
And Trump has never come up against someone that can battle him, and Elon has the money, and so this can be a fight. This can be a fight worth watching.
And he's smart.
And I'm like,
yes.
I'm like,
no. So what's coming up in I know you just had you're working on more FOIA, because you did the first FOIAs in the Gypsy Rose case, and now you're working on more. What else are you doing?
Yeah, so hold on. So I did gather all those FOIAs. There was like, I think officially 6. There's another one that's out there that I'm supposed to have access to, but they haven't given it to me. So I'm waiting for that. And then, I just basically what I did was I just asked Greene County since October of last year, asking them for all the different requests, doing all the different requests. I don't know how many I've actually done, but I think I've gotten around 7 of them back, or 6, somewhere around there. But So after going back and forth with Kendra, the records supervisor over there, she realized I wanted everything. I was like, I want
I'm laughing
everything.
because I know how they operate, Amber. Like, they take their sweet ass time if they want to.
Yeah. And so I was just like, I just kept putting different things in. And and finally I was like, I want everything. And she's like, okay, well, I can do this. And I said, or she said, I can give you Nicholas's file. And I said, well, I don't want anything that's already duplicate that I've already paid for. Cause I've
Right.
already paid around $600 myself that I still haven't recouped yet. And so now I have that big pot of money sitting there for the next FOIAs, but I haven't actually recouped any of that money yet. So, yeah, she said, no, this is all going to be brand new information, nothing that you have. So
That's
I was
kind
like,
of her to
okay.
tell you that too.
Yeah, because I point blank asked, because I was like, I'm not going to pay for a bunch of stuff I already have. So, yeah, so I'm
And that's how
getting,
the county makes money too.
yeah.
And in the past, I would request a million things because the station was paying for it. But now I'm a solo person, and you have to weigh what, and Amy's got the cash apps up there. Well, that's one of the reasons. I don't want people to think we're like, send me money. It's going towards the work you're putting in.
Mhm.
People don't know it costs money for those reports.
Yeah, and I don't really make videos on Gypsy. I will have a live stream occasionally talking about the FOIAs or something, but I'm not like actively making videos on a regular basis about her. So I was like, for a long time, I wouldn't even collect any money because people were asking me, and
That's kind.
yeah, I just wouldn't do it, and because I felt icky about it. And so then, some things transpired, and I was like, oh, well, I need to put my watermarks on it, and I will ask for money going forward. So that's what I've done. And we have raised, now we've raised, let's see. When it comes into PayPal, I switch everything over to Cash App so that I can control it in one account. So in Cash App now, we have $2,245 collected for the next round. And it will be $1,888 or something like that, just for what they've told me about at the moment. But she said they're collecting evidence. And I asked her if she wanted to pay me the other day, and she said, no, just wait until we're done. So she just wanted to give me a bill to let me know what it's going to cost. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Do
it's expensive work.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have on your page, because I keep clicking on this one thing and it's freezing my screen up, this the one that says that you have collected the 1,109, but do you have, is it just they're sending it to your Cash App? Is that where, but do you have a space where they can go, or
my
how do they
Cash
go?
App, my Cash App is in my description, I believe, and then it's also in a community post, and my PayPal's in that community post as well. I'll make another one today just to kind of refresh it and let everybody know that it's there. But
Okay. I will
yeah,
send the show notes for you if anybody wants to go ahead and donate, because I think those are worth having, and that's a lot of money. So yeah.
Yeah, and what I'm doing, actually, I wanted to prepare something to present to the Missouri State Historical Society, just for preservation's sake. I just want it there, in case anything ever happens and somebody needs to pull the information, it's there, and yeah, that's why I'm doing it, because I'm a history nerd. So
I love that, Amber. I think it's awesome, and I don't think a lot of people know how much time and effort goes into doing podcasting or doing YouTube pages. Like, you know, Amy is paying for StreamYard. The way we're doing this with all three of us right now, it's not free.
Yes.
And it, you know, it costs money to edit these videos and put them together and to find the music, you know, unless it's fair use, but a lot goes into creating content. So
No, I agree.
know
And that's
she's got
why,
here women up there. Oh, there, she's just pinned it.
yeah. And that's why MBR, we're not, no one else is doing what we're doing. Like there's this whole platform called Parade Deck that's all built for veterans and veterans content, but they don't actually have somebody that teaches the veterans how to make the content. So what we do is we actually teach them how to edit and all that stuff. It's just a matter of if they want to learn how to do it or not. So we teach them whatever they want to learn. We give them access to Canva Pro, which is expensive, to StreamYards, which is expensive, and several other things. So built in with MBR, and we also work with first responders as well. So first responders can reach out to us, and we'll teach them as well. So
that's good to know.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah,
and I love that they can talk about whatever they want. It doesn't have to be, their military experience. Like you said, it's this truck driver guy can tell us crazy jokes or like some crazy stories from being on the road. I love that.
Yeah. And most of the people that do their podcast on MBR focus on veterans issues. But because I was only in the military for a year, I don't feel comfortable talking about veterans issues all the time. So I just decided I was going to talk to interesting people and talk about things I'm interested in. And that's what my channel is. Basically, it's just me being interested in things or something coming across my purview that I find interesting. So that's what my channel is.
You also cover missing cases. And so if somebody is interested in having their case covered, they could contact you and you would possibly be interested in that, right?
Yes. We did cover the Aubrey Wu case, which was a wild case. It ended up that she was on TikTok the whole time, and it's a wild ride. And then let's see, the other missing person.
You've done Emily Pike. Well,
Yeah,
she was missing still. I think she was still missing at the time, but now she's back. But
my channel, my channel also, like the Cash Road Killings, that is from my hometown. It's a serial killer from my hometown, and one of the victims went to high school with me. Her name was Mandy Raitt, and so I try to bring awareness to that. And then as I was telling you earlier, the little girl that was killed when I was 7 years old, her name was Athena Hogan. And to this day, it's still a cold case because the guy who was finally arrested was acquitted. So they have sent off DNA evidence, but it's been like 3 years now since I've heard anything from the detective. So I don't know what's going on there. And then there is a girl that I knew. I actually show how far it was from my family home to where these girls went missing. And it was only like 5 or 6 blocks from my family home.
They had to give you kind of the heebie-jeebies after finding that out.
It did.
It could have been you, you know?
Yeah, and I used to hang out all over in that area when I was a teenager. I had friends and family. I would just walk right across that busy street. Right there. I would walk right across there, and so I took them from my family home to where these girls went missing, and it wasn't very far at all. And yeah, so there were many times where I was very lucky as a child and as a teenager. I should not be here, but I am. So,
I grew up
but
during
yeah.
the Oakland County child killer time, and we had somebody chase us to school, and they thought it was him, and we had a police escort for a week.
Oh, wow.
So it was like during, I mean, I think that they scared us in making stranger danger. When you found out that you were so close, did you have really bad dreams? Because I remember being really scared of the dark after that.
Well, not really, but I just remember feeling like shocked. And with the Athena Hogan case too, I found out that I had not one, but two connections to her. So about approximately 2 months before Athena Hogan was murdered, her mother was beaten into a coma.
Oh.
And she was beaten so severely that she was not able to testify against the man who beat her, so the man went free. The man who beat Athena Hogan's mother was the son who owned my family home.
Wow.
The son of the man who owned my family home. So, and this guy's name was Reverend Ronnie Miller, and he was extremely corrupt. And he ended up going to prison himself for using a dead man's credit card and a bunch of other things. Well, come to find out, his son, not only did he beat Athena's mother almost to death, but he was also raping women and children around the same time.
How?
Yeah. And so possibly he could have, in retaliation, gone and killed Athena. We don't know. Nobody knows. But I did know the man who found her, and from all accounts, I know he was a perfectly normal person who didn't have any issues. However, I put something on Reddit a few years back, and somebody who was saying they were his stepchild said that he wasn't a very good man, but I wasn't able to read the whole message because it was deleted before I could read it. So I had just gotten an alert at the top of my phone. I saw the first part of it, and then when I went in to read it, it was gone.
They took it
So,
down. Yeah.
so yeah. So I talk about whatever, my hometown is Lawton, Oklahoma. It's a weird town. It's got a whole lot of Native American influence because of the different tribes that are there, and predominantly the Comanche and the Kiowa. So we've got a lot of Native folklore, and then just a lot of folklore in general. And so growing up in that atmosphere has just made me a very weird person. And then, Amy, you had forgotten to ask me about my stepdad the last time I was on your show, and you said you wanted to ask me about it, but my stepdad was a wizard. Do you remember?
Oh, yes, that's right. She has a wizard for a stepdad. Is that not fascinating?
That is cool.
So it's very weird, but and I only call him a wizard because that's his self-professed, that's what he called himself. He called himself a
Yeah,
wizard.
give me an example of what a wizard is, because like when I think of like a male, I think of like a shaman, I guess, but we're not talking about a shaman. Are we talking about like
You're kind of. Okay, so
okay.
my stepdad, he looked like Albert Einstein. I mean, literally, he had the whole wiry hair, and he looked like Albert Einstein. And he was in the military. He actually he was a master sergeant or something like that. I don't remember what he was. He come to find out he guarded presidents, and he did a bunch of top secret stuff. And when he got out, he went and lived in the jungle in Mexico. And he learned how to be basically a shaman, wizard,
Like a healer.
And he chose
Not
wizard
exactly.
as the word
He
to
chose-
use,
he
not
chose
shaman, but
wizard.
wizard.
Yeah,
That's
he chose wizard. So, like, he learned how to do a bunch of native things. He also learned how to do tarot cards, ruins, astrological stuff. I mean, so
Is he
for
like a
instance,
healer too? Like, does
no,
he? No, okay, because that's
no.
where I was going with the shaman thing.
just
And
a
when
wizard.
I think of wizard, I think of magic.
Just your regular old wizard.
Yeah, so he had these absolutely gorgeous wands. Now, I feel stupid saying that he had magic wands, but he had wands that were elaborate. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. Snake
Please tell me he
skin.
made them himself. Please
Yes,
tell me
he
he made
did.
them.
He did in the jungle. You know,
Jungle.
he
In the
used
jungle.
yeah,
With
he
the
used
wood.
snake skin that he
Girl,
found.
I'm
You know,
picturing all of this.
yeah. I mean, he crafted they were beautiful with these beautiful quartz stones and all kinds of stuff. I can't even. And so but he had those, and he had like these jars of herbs and stuff like that. And I remember as an 8-year-old child, when he came into my life, I remember not being afraid of him, but I remember being afraid of his tools of the trade.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling the malevolence actually rolling off of it. It was like this heavy feeling that you could feel permeating out of the area where that stuff was located. And so for a
Yeah.
long time, I would actually ask my grandma or my aunt to come pick me and my brother up, and we would go stay the night at their house for a few days, you know, because I was so scared. Well, eventually it got to the point after, you know, waking up numerous times or coming home from school numerous times, and there would be all these like Korean ladies around this big table that we had, and they would all be getting their tarot cards read or their astrological charts done. And I'd wake up in the morning and I'd just see all these women, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So they
Just
would
a regular day.
so they would talk to me, and they'd be like, oh, Craig knows everything, you know, and they would just tell me all these stories about how he knew everything. And so as I became a teenager, I asked him if he would teach me how to do it, or if he would read my cards. And so he was not a religious person at all. But what he told me is no, I'm not going to do your cards, because I don't do family members' cards that I love, because evil spirits attach to them when I do. And as a 16-year-old, I was like, you're a jerk. You just don't want to do my cards. So I
Yeah.
never really thought about it after that. And then I dabbled in it myself for a little while. We realized it is real. And a lot of times when you ask for things, that happens, but it usually happens in a really bad way. And so we stopped messing with all that stuff. And
It sounds like he wanted to protect you genuinely. Didn't want to read you. Yeah.
Is he still
Yeah.
with you?
No, he passed away in 2002, I believe. Yeah.
Well,
So
speaking of the Native American stuff, I wanted to tell everybody that this Monday I will be teaming up with Amber Into the Weeds podcast, and Lisa from The Search will also be joining us. We're going to be talking about a missing Indigenous woman. We will be focusing on Shannon here is missing. I've been speaking with her family. She is Native American. And I've been speaking with her family, getting her information. We're going to try to get the word out about her missing. It's going to be a show about addiction and the lack of police intervention. They just now got a feather report filed. The police didn't want to file a report for them, and I thought we could also update on the Emily Pike and any cases that you want to update on. So you guys, this will be this Monday at 8:00. Did we say 8:00? I think we said 8:00.
I can't
8:00.
remember.
Yeah, but
Just check the show notes to see.
yeah. Be in the show notes. But do
Yeah.
you have anything else coming up, Amber, that you want to mention?
Tonight I am doing an interview with Army Air Force brat from TikTok that will air Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we're also looking into the case of Teron Evans Jr. We did one episode. We did an interview with his mother, and it's just a weird story. It's kind of tied to the Garrett Phillips case, if you guys know about that.
A little.
So it was a little boy who got killed, and a black man was charged with the murder, but then he was acquitted. And then this woman who was in charge of Black Lives Matter in that town was trying to get justice for Garrett Phillips and trying to hold the police accountable for arresting a black man for the crime. And in the process, her son started dating a woman who ended up being a police drug informant. And he died supposedly from a suicide, but all evidence points that it was something different, because he supposedly took over 60 Wellbutrin pills, but there was no pills and no pill residue found in his stomach or in his esophagus or anything.
Wow.
There
like
was
the
no throw
autopsy
up.
show.
There was no throw up.
Wow.
And there was petechial hemorrhage, you know what I'm talking about, in the eyes. And so that would usually suggest suffocation. So I had his mom, Jennifer Backstrom, on, and we talked about it. And I have a friend who is a coroner, and he and his friend are going to be looking at the autopsy for me just to see, what he thinks. So,
Wow.
So I've been trying to get Nick Hillary on. I want to interview him because he's the man who was accused of killing Garrett Phillips. And because this mother is adamant that her activism for him led to her son's death, I would really like to speak to him. And I reached out to the detective who is mixed up in this case, who is also a potential suspect in the Garrett Phillips case, but he no longer works for the sheriff's office, and I don't have any of his social media. So, I'm just trying to figure that case out, and where that leads me, I don't know. And
do you have a set schedule for your podcasts, or?
So I used to have, I have a Calendly booking, where I can book people, and people used to book all the time, but then they would cancel or reschedule and never book again. And so it's out there to be scheduled. I just basically every week end up going with whoever I come across, and or whoever has, said that they'll come on. And so yeah, it's kind of hard to book people, especially when you're small.
Yeah. Did you have any other questions you wanted to ask Amber, Jen?
No, I mean, I'm so glad to have met you. And I've been talking to Amy. I definitely want to do some more on missing people segments. If that's something you want to team together, even if we did it like once a month or something. It's been 23 years since Elizabeth Smart went missing. Luckily, you know, she was located, but I reached out to her for an interview to see if we can talk about some of what she's doing. She started a self-defense course, and I just think, you know, it'd be great to kind of get something out there where maybe we do a podcast talking about what you can do if you find yourself in these situations. And also talking about missing people who aren't getting as much coverage. I am close with Gabby Petito's family, and they are really trying so hard to use their platform to help with other missing cases and bring those to light. So that's something I'm really passionate about over the past couple of weeks, trying to do my research. And you know how it is. It takes a minute to do the research to put stuff together.
I've actually got a person in my life who's been missing since '99, and I've tried to reach out to her parents, you know, to come on and talk about it, but I haven't had any luck. Her name is Michelle Crawford, and she went missing from Lawton, Oklahoma in 1999, and she was a really sweet girl. I went to high school with her, and I knew her in elementary school, better in elementary school. And I've been trying to bring light to that case for a long time. So I would love if you pass on any information.
Yeah. Well, let's get together and we can see what we can do about that. Amber, did you have anything else you wanted to share? Thank you so much for being here with us.
Well, I thank you for inviting me, and I'm honored to work with the people that I work with. It's all volunteer. I just sit here every Tuesday and Thursday and talk to them like I'm talking to you right now, except for it's not recorded or live streamed. And we just go through life and learn how to podcast along the way. And so if you're a veteran or a first responder or a former first responder, please reach out to us, and we will help you get involved either in podcasting, gaming, DJing, or now animation. And just reach out to us, and we would love to get to know you and help you.
Okay. Thank you, Amber. And I will be sure to put everything down in the YouTube show notes. And thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Amber, thank you so much for your service.
Have a blessed day. Thank you.
Bye, Amber. Okay. All right. I didn't expect her to leave. Usually I like to say, I like to do a little talk before we leave about what we just digested. But okay, guys, thank you for being here. Be sure to give this live a thumbs up. Helps us go out into the algorithm. I will put the links for everything down in the YouTube show notes over on the Power Networks channel. Hi to everybody. We were coming to you on YouTube and Facebook today, so be sure to show us love on the platform that you are watching us on. And yeah, if nobody's told you this today, and even if they have, I'm still going to tell you this. Thank you, and I love you guys so, so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
I miss my cue, baby, I had you. Miss my cue, but I had you for that day. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep.
Be sure to give this live a thumbs up. Helps me go out into the algorithm party out there. Bring more people back to the party. It's just a good way to help me.
Falling hoping for some time with you.